Soon the news came that everyone would have to go to their birthplace so that they would be counted. The news was blazoned and proclaimed throughout all the provinces. Jerusalem, it seemed, had been ignored in making the arrangements. Caesar Augustus did not trust his puppet Herod. From the throne, the word came that the people of Israel were to be counted as an all-Palestine group under the management of the ranking emissary in the area, Cyrenius, the governor of Syria. And Cyrenius had already announced stern penalties for any living person in Palestine who did not obey this positive and authoritative command. The most disturbing fact to Joseph was that it meant a long journey for him when he felt he was needed at Mary's side. To remain in Nazareth and be counted was impossible because under the ruling, each person must be registered in the city headquarters of the tribe to which he belonged. For Joseph, that meant he must go all the way down to Bethlehem. "Not only you," he was told by one of the elders of the Nazareth synagogue, "your wife must also go to her rightful headquarters to be counted." Joseph's incredulous look was full of sudden fear. "How can Mary go?" he protested. "Don't you know she is going to have a baby any day?" "What do Romans care about Jewish wives or babies?" the elder returned with a shrug. He did agree at Joseph's urgings to make an appeal to see if an exception could be made in this case. The answer came back and swift. No, they must leave at once to be in Bethlehem on the appointed day. Bewildered at such inhumanity and injustice, Joseph scarcely heard the clamor of talk around him. In the synagogue there was sorrow in many a heart. "We were counted once by Moses. Why should we be counted again?" Not much logic in the question, but no one was feeling logical. They were thinking with their nerves, with their emotions, above all with the galling sense of power exerted by the empire's force upon them. Later, Joseph talked long with Mary about it. He reminded her how, in the second year after the flight from Egypt, Moses had mustered the tribes, all except the priestly caste of Levi, who were exempted from military service and taxes. From then on, according to those tribal divisions set up by Moses, their ancestors had marched, pitched their tents, and made their offerings. And ever since, the branches of family trees had been faithfully preserved in or out of captivity under generals, kings, and judges. Some records in the Nazareth synagogue and the family traditions made it clear that both Joseph and Mary must go to Bethlehem because that was David's city and they were both of the house of David. "Why should it have to be?" demanded Joseph, who was profoundly shaken by the danger to his young wife. "Our priests have their own way of arriving at these things, and it is good enough. When they want to count, they have only to add up the Passover lambs and multiply by 10. "And why by 10, Joseph?" asked Mary, delighted as always with his knowledge. "Because from 10 to 12 persons may eat a Passover lamb. Then we have to make an allowance for the lepers and the other unclean outcasts. But we know pretty accurately just how many of us there are. This journey to Bethlehem, oh Mary, I am afraid." But Mary smiled confidently. "Joseph, my beloved," she said, "remember what the angel said to me." "Do not be afraid, Mary," he quoted. "And what did he say to you in that dream?" "The very same words, Mary," he replied. "Then we should not be afraid," she said with a smile. "And there is something else. I have been listening to the scriptures in the synagogue. The rabbi does not know how eagerly Joseph. There are prophecies about the Messiah, Mary. Yes, that he was to be born in Bethlehem. Had you forgotten, Joseph?" He gasped. "No, Mary, I had not forgotten. It confounds me now to realize." "Should we be afraid, Joseph?" "No, Mary, my beloved. We shall go to Bethlehem." The next morning, they began their journey.